Fiction and reality. New stories, new ideas. Little Beth Entertainment.
On this episode of The Rocketry Show, we go through rocketry news and the rocketry launch schedule for this summer that we have so far. Stick around. The Rocketry Show starts right after this.
The Rocketry Show thanks TheRocketryShow.com for their support. This is Jesse, and I've been a member for 4 years. The Rocketry Forum is a global community of rocketeers who openly discuss all aspects of hobby rocketry. If you have a question, hop on and ask. There are hundreds of experts who can answer just about any rocketry question you have. You can also find me by searching for Model Rocket Guy, and I'll be happy to help any way that I can. Check them out today at RocketryForum.com.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Welcome to The Rocketry Show.
All right, lift off and the clock is started. Yes, sir. Reading loud and clear.
A podcast that is all about advanced and high-power rocketry. Amateur-built rockets starting at mid-power to higher-power versions that can reach the edges of space. This program is hosted by the team who love the smell of burning ammonium perchlorate in the morning. Here are CG, Gene, and model rocket guy, Jesse Yu.
Welcome to The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com, our next episode in Season 9. Amongst other things, before we started recording, we were talking about how good it is to be doing this again. Sitting back in our microphone chairs. Talking rockets. Alrighty, so today we've got a lot of updates for you. It's catching up on what the latest news is. And we're gonna and clubs are starting to announce their special launch gatherings. The big launches happening from place to place. So we're going to be going through that list as well. So I'm CG.
I'm Jim. And I'm Jesse Yu, model rocket guy.
All righty. Welcome to the program. And so we're going to just jump right into things because we have a long list. And I'm not going to keep bantering because I'm looking at the list. And we're going to start with the biggest thing that just happened, and that was Narcon. And Jesse was hanging out there quite a bit. I was not around for any of that. I had a lot going on, but I did chime in on that. What was that nighttime, that beer
Saturday
thing?
night.
Yeah.
The beer loft, the virtual beer loft. And I'll explain like what all happens with that mess. But cool. Narcon, was it Narcon 2023, I guess is what we technically call it. Tons of good information, tons of good speakers. The participation wasn't as big as it was in 2020 and 2021.
Oh.
I think the main reason why is because, it went virtual right at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 because people weren't really allowed to go out to launches, because of restrictions and travel and whatever, right? But now as 2021 opened up the doors a little bit and, people were able to start going out and doing stuff again, I think the participation wasn't as heavy this year because people were actually out that last weekend of January launching. So that's cool. I mean, I took that Friday off so that I could sit there and just, go back and forth with everybody that was on Narcon. I like doing it. We sat there with the podcast mic and, just talked to everybody that was there. If you guys don't mind, let's go over some of the stuff that they were talking about and doing for Narcon, because I think that's something that, if you weren't able to attend it, eventually they'll have some of these sessions posted on the YouTube channel for NAR, for the National Association of Rocketry. And that's actually what Narcon is. It's the National Association of Rocketry annual convention. So let me explain a few things that they did. Let's start with the activities they did on Friday. A lot of cool things. They start off with just an opening statement with the host of the presentation. You got Ed LaCroix and Todd. They're the ones that usually do the the setup for everything. The Board of Trustees meeting takes the longest. So they do that, with everybody from the board on the NAR. And they gather those folks up to have a meeting within themselves. And then they open it up to a Zoom meeting so that other members of NAR can join in and listen to some of the stuff that they're discussing. And they go over the financials. They go over, the politics and procedures that basically are up to the standard of running the organization. Lots of uptick in membership from younger audience members.
Ooh, that's nice.
Now, Gene and CG, I wonder why. What could cause an uptick in NAR numbers?
SpaceX.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the communities, college competitions, and then of course, your members from Hot Nozzle Society that have been jumping into rocketry and getting more in there. You got to give those guys some credit because I'm sure they're attributing to those numbers. and for Tripoli as well. If you look at the, what Gary Rosenfield posted recently, you'll see that he has a little bit of information for NAR and Tripoli and how the, numbers have increased quite a bit between younger members. So that's really
good.
Fun to see.
That.
So
that's
that was
great.
One of the things they were talking about for sure. Opening statements, they start right around 3 o'clock my time, Mountain Time, so 5 o'clock your guys' time. It's kind of fun because that just kind of leads into them going back and forth and bantering a little bit, and then they kind of are late to display the next presentation. The next presentation, they actually had a tour of the McDonnell Space Hangar at the National Air and Space Museum.
Cool.
And that was hosted by Dr. Michael Newfield, who is, I believe, the curator of that. So he does a 90-minute walk around. He does a presentation, and it was kind of cool to watch. I didn't finish it all because it's long. It's almost the entire 90 minutes. But if you go to the National Association of Rocketry website, you should be able to see that. I believe they'll post that on their YouTube channel at some point. So keep your eyes open for that because they will announce when that's out. So this is kind of funny. They do an early dinner and keynote preparation. So the early dinners, basically, you can sit there and eat with everybody in a virtual room, basically a Zoom meeting, and they go back and forth, and you see the camera pan from one dude to the next dude to the next dude. Ed and Todd will sit there and host that. It's kind of fun to do. So if you ever get a chance to join a virtual Narcon, I recommend you do it. If you don't have anything going on during that time, pay the $25 admission fee and jump in there because it's fun to talk to other Rocketeers that you don't get to talk to on social media because they may not be on Facebook or they're on TRF and you know that, but you don't get to see them and interact with them. This is really cool, and I really enjoy doing it. The highlight of Friday night, in my opinion, and this is something I was not able to attend, but it was something I did get to go and watch after the fact. And that was the keynote presentation from Kip Dargadas, who recently just hit space with a high-powered rocket. That was done at Black Rock. And I don't think it was done during balls, but if it was, please correct me. I know Joe Hepworth and a few people were there to help out Kip. But the big deal about Kip's launch is that he made an altitude of 293,488 feet.
Nice.
And that is space.
Yes.
That's like, guys, this is one of our own Rocketeers doing something that I think that's a record, right? I mean,
oh yeah, it absolutely is. And I think he worked with a minimal team. It was basically he built this on his own and did all the research and all the testing on his own.
And guess what? And we've already got him lined up too, so we'll be talking to him soon.
Yes. So Kip, as you hear this, we'll be pulling you in soon. So be ready. So Kip's presentation, it turned out really good. He went through and showed a lot of video, and if you get the chance to watch that, you can also go to Kip's YouTube channel and watch that as well. If you want to look up Kip's channel, how to spell his last name is Daugirdas, and then just put high altitude rocket flight, and you'll find it. And at that point, go watch his YouTube channels. Really cool stuff, guys. I mean, I geek out every time I open that up. But moving on, between at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and for that next 90 minutes, they do a manufacturer's forum. I unfortunately missed that when it was presented live. We had a couple of presentations at first that didn't get recorded, so it got maybe the first 20 minutes of it cut off. But being able to go on there and see some of the stuff that most of your favorite manufacturers are putting out, always fun to see during an Narcon. I don't have any key things that I want to present to you guys. However, I invite you guys to go to the NAR page and go look at that because it's a lot, and I didn't take a lot of notes from something that was recorded to present to you all. But let's move on.
Those are always fun.
And you were the only one of the show that was there to try to cover as much as possible because Jim and I were not able to be there. So it makes it kind of tough to cover everything that's going on when you're the only one trying to figure out what room to go into and out of.
So in relation to you saying that, let's talk about what happens on Saturday. Saturday always becomes a huge cluster because there's so many things happening on Saturday. After they do the opening statement, which is, in the early morning, they go, well, it's on the East Coast, it's like 10 a.m. already, but, it's just 7:55 for us. So we're, clearing the stuff out of our eyes and yawning really good and making our coffee, walking around, listening to Ed LaCroix do his opening presentation, right? Starting right on the button at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. our friend Joe Pfeiffer, who we just recently had on our last episode of the Rocketry Show, he was able to get on there as well with, let me see who his partner was. Dun, dun, dun. Billy Olson,
wasn't it?
Yeah, Billy Olson. So Billy was, he's been a contributor to Open Rocket since 2020. Now, we didn't get a chance to talk to Billy, but he was able to sit there back and forth with Joe, and boy, they were into it. I'm not going to lie. If you had a chance to see this presentation, Billy was ready to go another 2 hours talking about Open Rocket. So if you ever get to talk to Billy, hit that guy up because he loves it, and it's great to see how much he was giving off. And then Joe reiterated a lot of stuff that we talked about, but he actually did go a little bit more in depth, and they were just rambling on for the entire hour, and it was so informative, and your eyes just got big, and it was great stuff. So I got to sit in on that. That was fun to listen to. Around the same time that this was happening, they're in the same hour. There's always 3 presentations on most Saturdays. So I didn't think about this at first. The reason I went to Open Rock is because we just talked to Joe, right? But your guys' hero, everybody's hero, Jim Barrowman, honestly, he did a presentation on model rocket stability and aerodynamic equations. Come on, man. I didn't get to see that, but I did watch the recording. That was cool to watch. Make sure you guys do that. The last one that was done was launching student experiments with high-power rocketry. That was done by Vince. I'm just going to say Vince H because I can't pronounce your last name. But I watched that one again, too. Very informative, very cool, very nice to see, the student community going out there. Jim, hats off for you for doing all this stuff with TARC. Seeing these guys talk about that stuff and how, well, Jim, you've seen it yourself, right? Like how they react and how they're so excited and there's so much ambition and
I feed off of their energy. I'm their energy vampire,
for sure,
which is great.
So the next hour, very good. Landing a model rocket. I'm sure you guys know who probably presented that.
Is that Joe?
That was Joe Barnard. So please make sure you go and take a look at that one. Now, Joe's friend, one of his best friends, and one of the guys that helps out on Joe's team, his name is Andrew Adams. And if you guys remember that name, he was the former president of the Hot Nozzle Society. Andrew's got his own work happening, and I sat in to specifically watch his when it was occurring. Chasing solar eclipses with rockets. He calls it Project Saros. Very cool.
What?
And he got a lot of feedback from a lot of the members talking to him and really interested in the stuff that he's trying to do. And just like you heard, Project Saros aims to get incredible footage of the next 2 solar eclipses to cross the USA from rockets. I mean, he's got an entire plan. He's looking for locations to take the stuff out to. He's got cameras and stuff set up. He's got balloons for backup. He's got several different things, and that was just really cool to listen to.
We'll be right back after this on The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. It's time for eRockets.biz. eRockets.biz is your home for unique model rocket kits as well as the world's largest selection of rocket parts from Simrock. In business since 2009, eRockets.biz has a wide selection of your favorite kits as well as their own versions of popular out-of-production models many of you have come to enjoy over the years. And Jesse, you've been checking out the eRockets list. What did you find?
So one of the rockets that I know a lot of, not skill level 1, but level 1 certification flyers want to use is the good old Mad Cow Super DX3. And I was looking for one the other day, and I saw that eRockets does have the 38 millimeter versions in stock, which would be a perfect rocket for a level 1 certification. This is a 4-inch diameter rocket. This rocket is over 50 inches long, so it's nearly 5 feet tall. So it's actually pretty nice. Does have a payload bay. This particular rocket, as far as I understand, does not come with a parachute, but you have so many different choices, even on eRockets that you can go to get a parachute for this rocket. But if you're looking for a simple level 1 kit that is going to be one of your favorite rockets to build, I totally recommend going and looking at the 4-inch Super DX3 with the 38 millimeter motor mount from eRockets. Can't go wrong with that one. A lot of people used it, and I really like it. I think I might have to jump on these guys.
Sounds like a plan. There are also plenty of other rocketry items to choose from, such as educational rocket kits and supplies, air rockets, water rockets, and so much more. eRockets.biz certainly has enough kits and supplies to keep you busy in your workshop for a long time to come. Need parts for your own custom builds? No problem. eRockets.biz also supplies the Semrock line of airframes, nose cones, centering rings, motor mounts, and so much more. eRockets has more rocket parts available than anyone else on Earth. So check out erockets.biz today to learn more. erockets.biz. If rocketry scares you, buy a train set. North Coast Rocketry, established in 1984, is the company that practically invented the class of rockets known today as mid-power. North Coast Rocketry takes advantage of over 30 years of high-power experience by a world-class rocketeer. North Coast Rocketry features a wide range of unique kits to expand your personal high-power rocket fleet. When you see an NCR rocket fly, you will encounter an absolute treat of sight, sound, and performance. Once you own and fly a North Coast Rocketry kit, your rocketry hobby will never be the same, and neither will your rocket fleet. In addition to great kits, North Coast Rocketry also stocks lots of must-have items and accessories for every rocketeer's workshop. Go to northcoastrocketry.com today to find out more about these kits and other great products. northcoastrocketry.com. Advanced rockets that are easy to build, fun to fly, and look great on display.
Hey, all you rocket geeks out there. Do you like doing in-flight videos of your flights? And do you ever use those keychain cams and unfortunately sometimes only get videos of your thumb? Hey, this is Gene from The Rocketry Show, and that used to happen to me. I used to use those old keychain cams only to get nothing very good quality. But I found a solution to that, and it's Insane Rockets. It's an app that's available on the Google Play Store for Nexus 5X and higher. Now get this, it does 4K video. But not only that, it'll upload it automatically to the cloud and provide you real-time telemetry while tracking your rocket through Google Earth. It is amazing. Available on the Google Play Store, Insane Rockets app. It's crazy. No, wait. It's insane.
Welcome back to The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com.
So this one is kind of cool. Our the guy that everybody learns from, Mr. John Coker, he did a presentation at the same hour, how to build your level 2 certification rocket. Now, there's a lot of new people that probably could have sat in and listened to this because he was ready to answer a lot of questions and he didn't get a lot of response. And I think it's just because you had Joe and Andrew doing their presentations at the same time. But the start of the next hour, he did a presentation of how to build your level 3 rocket, answered a ton of questions, talked about CG, CP, talked about how big you need to go, talked about if you're using this tube, he was able to break down approximately, if you have a certain size diameter rocket, how high your stuff's going to go. He's kind of spot on because when he was talking about the larger rockets like mine, during my level 3, he pretty much hit it on the nose. Something that you all need to remember about Mr. John Coker is he's the creator of Thrust Curve.
Okay.
I started rocketry with Thrust Curve. I mean, I learned it before Open Rocket or even messed around with Roxum. So that's good old John. And he's also the guy that I watched all his videos to learn how to do all the glassing stuff. So I'm by no means a glassing person per se, but I love doing it. And I think it's just from watching John's videos. Go look up John Coker on YouTube, guys. Tons of good information about rocketry. Mix that in with the stuff you get from Apogee and watching everybody else's stuff, and you're going to be successful whatever you do.
Nice.
Very cool.
Moving on here. So there were some more really good sessions. You get more into the modeling stuff. You get more into the FIFA stuff. David Carter did a presentation during the same time that John was doing the level 3 certification rocket build. David's thing was Introduction to FreeCAD Rocket Workbench. Now, this is kind of interesting, based on, Open Rocket and Roxanne, whatever. FreeCAD is open source computer-aided design software and an impressive list of capabilities. He talked about doing that and how to use it for rocketry. Building schematics, building simulations. CAD is pretty much, I think, what Open Rocket and Roxanne are based off in Razero. So I'm just saying the fact that he spoke about that stuff is really cool. I did not watch that recording yet. I'll make sure to go do that because that is something I am interested in. During that same hour.
That's very interesting.
Oh, sorry.
Because real quick. I mean, some of my students are actually using OpenCAD to design parts for the rockets that they're using. So I have some familiarity with it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because you got to use some kind of CAD or some kind of basis for doing your 3D printed stuff. And since that's becoming huge in rocketry, that makes a lot of sense. He did actually talk about that. But like I said, I have not watched that yet. So I'm sure those questions will be answered. That's now I got to go watch it. So, So Curtis Heisey did a presentation during that same hour, clustering and your thoughts on igniting. One motor was hard. So it's kind of like these are the woes of doing clusters. These are the woes of doing air starts. These are the woes of using multiple ignition systems to light motors. So remember, back before we had like super high power motors, everybody was doing clustering to get that extra impulse, right? This was kind of like the best way to say it. This is kind of like a recap of, like I said, all the woes that the Rocketeers had to go through, and Curtis had a pretty decent response to that. I still need to review that recording, but something cool to take a look at. I think that's going to be pretty informative. I was able to join everybody for lunch. I literally went, made a sandwich, came back, and got on camera and just ate with everybody that was on still. Talked to a ton of people, going back and forth in chat. And they host that on a Zoom meeting that's external from the presentation. So you're not supposed to say this, but I'll say it anyway. That's how I was able to pull you guys in when you were able to get on that Beer Loft CG, because it's done on a Zoom meeting. You don't have to pay for that. So, but you pay for all the presentations, and that's why we do that. Right after lunch. These are really cool things. So Rick Boyette from our Florida clubs. Rick is also an L3CC and a level 3 certified flyer out there. Building a wireless launch controller for rocket clubs. Well,
yeah,
we all belong to the rocket clubs, right? You guys see all the sawhorses for all the low power stuff, and then you see, 1/4 inch on stands and, rails. And after that, you got rails in the back and rails in the back and, everything that might use a unistrut, whatever. And he talks about how to set that up for launching. Really cool, informative stuff for members that are looking to do like a small sanction for NAR to get a small club set up in your area. He had a lot of good points in there. I hope they put that one on YouTube, because that one was very informative. So thanks, Rick, for doing that. During that same hour, James Duffy, paint is not the enemy, making peace with spray cans, airbrushes, and masking tape. James is the man, right? Have we seen that guy's finishes? He builds rockets from scratch that are museum quality. I mean, that's what he does. And Noob has talked to him on the Model Rocket Show several times. If you get a chance to see anything that James does, I'm assuming that this is going to be a pretty good presentation. I'll watch that one soon. Towards the end, this one was kind of cool. I want to listen to this one too, Jim. This one I'm sure you'll relate to, because we talked to Andrew, CG and Jim, about the trackers that you guys used, right? Lost in the Corn, getting started with radio tracking. that was done from Will Merchant, and I'll be watching that one soon, because I'm sure that's going to have some informative stuff that we wanted to do. So they have live Q&A sessions right after that for about 15 minutes for James and Rick's. They for their presentations, and they don't usually do that. Most of the Q&A for the presentations are done online through the SL Events platform that they use. So the fact that they were able to do this live, I think what they do is go to a breakout session with Zoom, get all those people on, and then that's when they go back and forth with questions. You can watch those recordings too. They did save those, so those are on the Narcon page. After lunch and after these other presentations, Jim Jarvis. Do you guys know who Jim Jarvis is?
Yes, I know the name.
I know the name too. I'm telling you.
Also a very skilled flyer that, a lot of people in the Tripoli side know, who flies rockets over 100,000 feet, does a lot of cool ejection stuff. Jim actually sets up a basis of how people can do a lot of high power stuff for themselves, and he's very informative. And, at some point I'd love to have Jim on here. Ezra Christensen from the Texas area has told me several times, you got to get Jim on there. You got to get Jim on there. So Jim, we'll talk to you at some point and see if we can get you on here. And we'd like to have a chat with you about some stuff. But Jim's presentation, development of a canard-based vertical orientation system for high-powered rockets. That's cool.
Yes.
Because, most of the reasons that we don't build rockets that have the canards on there, however you say it, and I apologize, guys, who in the street actually works on those things, but we don't want them to fly horizontal, right?
Correct.
But pretty much.
The presentation here that Jim does is it explains how to make your rocket stay, vertical instead of going horizontal. So, take a look at that. His presentation describes 8 years worth of development. So that's going to be cool.
Wow.
Have not watched that one yet. Hopefully that pops up on their YouTube channel and everybody can see that. During the same hour, we had Nicole and her crew from Estes talk about Estes education and model approaches to teaching rocketry. I think this would be cool maybe to have Nicole on Model Rocket Show at some point, because she talks a lot about how Estes reaches out and does all the things for STEM, and how they have you noticed that Estes has been really big about Estes education. They have their own variants on the website.
Yep.
So at some point, I think people need to understand what Nicole's trying to do. So if you're interested in how to get the youth involved and how to make this work for STEM and everything, listen to Nicole's presentation. I think you guys might actually enjoy what she presents, and then at some point, bring her on to talk with us. Let's see. Chris Taylor, 3D printing model rocket components. Now, if you guys have been on TRF, or if you just know Chris, he's been...
That thread is huge.
Right? He's been around the country, man. He lives in New Mexico now. 3D prints things in a 3D printing farm. Very informative. I think a lot of our, Rocketeers who do 3D printing parts have gotten some kind of thing from Chris. He knows all the different variations of the printers, just like we were talking about doing the designs in CAD and different softwares. He's able to manipulate those and teach people. Very informative. So thank you, Chris, for your presentation. I did get to watch a little bit of that one, but unfortunately, I would like to view the recording to see the rest of it. As we go on Saturday through the rest of those, Guy Galehausen, thrust vector controlled scale models. Actually, it is rocket science. I'm not sure. I need to review that one, so I'm not going to give any back end on that. But basically, the presentation was to do the design, flight testing, construction of Guy's thrust vector controlled 166 scale Delta 4 heavy model rocket that will be discussed and illustrated. So, Delta 4 using thrust vectoring and a model.
Yes.
Yeah,
that will be impressive to see, especially because the Delta 4, having seen one take off, to do that in model rockets, the way to make it look really cool is to have it go up in the air slowly like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. So then, to fill up the little gap in the time in the afternoon before they go and do dinner and everything else, they do a rebroadcast of the Manufacturers Forum. Like I said, the first 20 minutes or so were unfortunately cut off, but they do have, they did use that time to, present some of that stuff there, and then they were able to answer some questions back and forth. When they do the social hour, it's not the same as the virtual beer loft. For the 90 minutes, you had even like young kids would get onto the Zoom meeting and talk back and forth. And it was a nice back and forth with Ed and Todd and everybody else from the NAR, as well as Rocketeers. Chris Taylor was on there that we were just talking about. And a lot of the other presenters were on there too. And they're just kind of going back and forth and, discussing their day. A lot of them talked about Andrew's presentation, about the eclipse, because that's really cool stuff, guys. I mean, Narcon this year was really cool. I just wish there was more people that would have been on there. So the keynote for Saturday night was really, really cool. And at first, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it was kind of funny because Ed was very, very concerned that this guy wasn't going to be on. But we got a presentation from Tim Dodd, Mr. Everyday Astronaut himself.
Nice.
Talking about the keynote for Saturday night, a future to be excited about. Now, if you all have heard, Tim has actually been selected to go into space at some point.
Yep.
So when you get to watch the stuff about Tim, go check this out too, because I think you'll be very informed to know that Tim, he was working with us on the Hot Nozzle Society for some stuff, and I don't think he's like quite helping out now because obviously the guy's got a lot going on. But anything that goes up in the air, Tim talks about. It's really cool stuff.
Yes.
So the virtual beer loft, Ed LaCroix will sit there and talk to you for hours about rocketry and about different beers. And basically, we all just got there and we had a drink in hand and, just had a grand old time. I sent Jim and CG the links, and, CG was able to get on right after I had logged off. And then after that, I heard that, everybody pinged me on the side there on Facebook Messenger. They're like, hey, CG's on. I'm like, oh, crap. So I signed on from my phone and I just got on and went back and forth and got to talk to them for a little bit. And that was fun. That was a fun time. And you guys get crazy, CG. Gee whiz. You came in and you started doing impressions. And
well, that's because they all wanted me to. I came in and I started talking and they all stopped. It's like that voice. And they're wanting me to say things and like the in a world and stuff like that. And then they're all convinced that I should sell my voice to do countdowns for automated launching systems. 10.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
So it went on this whole tangent. That was pretty fun.
I like it.
So one of the key points about the virtual beer loft, besides, Ed and Chris Taylor and everybody going back and forth, we got Steve from Launch Lab Rocketry that got on there and In the background of Steve, of his setup, he had a really nice banner hanging there, and he had some of the stuff that he had displayed on his presentation for, the manufacturers forum that unfortunately didn't get aired in the rebroadcast. But Steve has a couple of cool things. Have you guys seen that bullet bobby that he has? That 38 millimeter, 7.5 inch beast of a bullet bobby?
No.
You guys got to check that out. Yeah. And then one of the things that he's going to be putting out this year that I forgot to mention is a lighted up rocket, and I can't remember what the name is, but if you guys ever get to go take a look at Steve's updates on Launch Lab Rocketry, please do so, because he was sitting there with us and going back and forth on some stuff, and it was a really fun time. Like I like being on there with Steve. It's nice to have somebody to talk to every day, be on there with these other guys too. So we're almost done. I won't take too much more of your time because there's not a lot that happens on Sunday. They go down to just a couple of things during the day. In the morning, Ed hosted his opening statement again. And then the first thing that started in the morning, there were two different things. There was a Rocketeer social track, which is basically an open session that they had for the Rocketeers to visit and join in Zoom. And they just kind of went back and forth and discussed some of the other things that they were, presenting from the day before and what they were going to talk about later. Brian Music actually did a presentation called Converting a DLG to S8 Use. So whatever that is, basically in the hobby of rocketry, numerous ways to recover your models safely and be flown again. One of the most challenging ways to return your model to the ground in a stable, gliding flight. Radio-controlled system, precision landing requirement to launch 5 times in an hour, and you start to get a grasp on the challenge that is the FAI-SA event. So that's going back and forth with the stuff that's being used for FAI, and yeah, that can kind of lead you up into doing gliders and stuff for Argonia Cup and then doing stuff for your industry. So, some of the stuff that Brian was discussing just talks about the future that some of these people can get into to, do the competitions and even just get a job in aerospace. It's kind of impressive stuff.
He's been doing it a long time. So.
Yep.
So Jay Marsh, Jay Marsh is what I'm going to consider a pretty good old schooler, but he, champion during streamer durations, during some of the competitions that are out there. He sat there and explained a lot of different things. Had an overhead camera that's facing down on his work area, showing you how to cut the streamers, how to fold them, how to do your ties. Really cool stuff. And then kind of talking about what his achievements were. That was really cool to listen to Jay. So thank you for doing that presentation. That was really interesting. My wife likes streamers. And let's face it, when you guys put a modular streamer and it comes down, you see that thing glimmering coming back down. It's cool. I mean, and he talked a lot about that. So that was really cool. So Kevin Johnson, he's actually one of the NAR board of trustee members. He's talking about making nose cones with a dental vacuum forming machine. A lot of us use balsa nose cones. We'll get lathes. We'll make our own nose cones. But using a vacuum forming machine used for dentistry, that was kind of cool. So that one is one I'm definitely going to have to go and take a look at. I was not able to watch it live, but that sounds like an awesome presentation. That's something I might potentially want to get into. After he was done with that, he did a live Q&A on that and got some questions answered as well. So as we start getting more towards the town hall meeting, there was one more presentation. Space Modeling Comes Home, a guide to the 2023 FAI World Championships. This year, that's going to be held in Austin, here in the United States. So Robin Houston, our very own Matt Steele, who we've talked to several times, and James Duffy, who Januba's talked to on the Model Rocket Show several times. Actually, it was, before I got onto the Rocketry Show. I think you guys talked to him before, right? A couple of years back.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, so they got on and talked a little bit about, the World Championships that are coming in Austin. One quick thing about that, if you all live in that area and you want to go see some good rocketry stuff, they need volunteers. So if you're able to attend that FAI event in Austin when it comes, I believe it's in July. I apologize if I misquoted that. I haven't had a chance to look. But they need volunteers. So if you're in that area and you want to go and check it out, help them out because they really need it. I mean, we got hundreds of people coming from other parts of the world to attend this, and it's very expensive for them. We want them to make sure that they have a good experience, especially being in the United States. So if you're in that area and you can help out, please do so. Town hall meeting was done after that. That was a good 90 minutes. Basically, the NAR went into the business aspect, started to present everything to everybody outside of the board of trustees in a public forum and explain, where they're at with the money, what spending has went to, what the plans are, any bylaws that need to be changed, et cetera, et cetera. So the town hall meeting was very popular. It was done on a Zoom. Lots of questions got asked. You can view that recording too if you want to see what they had to talk about. Just a few more things that were going on. After that, we didn't have like a lunch break or anything, but the last presentation was from Nick it's from Nick A. Sorry, I won't butcher your last name, Nick. But a tour, Race to the Moon, Soviet and American Space History at the Cosmosphere. So Nick does work at the Cosmosphere that's just west of Wichita. And that's another, Air and Space Museum that is there and, talking about that. And I don't think he gave a presentation of where that is, but he just, spoke about the history, which was very interesting. That's a recording that I didn't start. I tried to watch his presentation, and I got pulled in by the wife to go do something ridiculous, so I have to go back and watch it. After that was the closing statements, and that was Narcon 2023. So, yeah, thanks for letting me talk about it, guys. It's a lot of stuff.
Jam-packed there, yeah.
That's a big report, dude.
So what we're going to do real quick, since so we can get more in here, we're going to take a quick break now and come back with more news in the rocketry world right after this on The Rocketry Show, TheRocketryShow.com. Thanks, Jesse, for that detailed report. It's time for Serious Rocketry. Serious Rocketry, since 1998, providing the Rocketeer with great kits, motors, supplies, and more. They have lots of products in their ever-growing web store with fast shipping, wide selection, and courteous service. You can also check out the amazing and popular Serious Rocketry kits that harken back to the days of fun-to-build detailed kits that are more than just 3 fins and a nose cone. And, Gene, what did you find?
Well, there's one thing that I believe I have not touched on yet in all of the years that we've been doing this is what happens when you're getting ready for your level 1. Are you going to go the single-use motor? Are you going to do this? How are you going to like put the propellant in? What are you going to do, and how are you going to do it? Well,
this is true.
Right? And these days, with the price of single-use motors going crazy, I mean, I think it's like $40 for just a pack of 2 F67s these days, so it's getting a little expensive, right? You want to save pennies wherever you can. And this is a way to do it by just making your own motors, reloading the motors. Using the Aerotech aluminum casings that are available. You can save, like the more you fly, the more you save kind of a thing. And you would get the motor and get the propellant loaded in there and then reuse the motor casing so you could save yourself a lot of money. And looking at some of the reloads on H motors, they're going for about $30 for a reload for an average level 1 type motor. So that alone in maybe 4 or 5 purchases would bring it back in line with motor casings. Now, RMS is the company that makes these, Aerotech RMS, and they are the best motor casings. They're black. You've seen those gold caps that people have on them, and they're very, high quality. They have to be because they handle all the pressure and the stuff. And Serious Rocketry has a lot of them, and the 29 millimeter I'm focusing on today just because we're talking about, what are you going to do when you go for level 1? But they have motor casings ranging from, in 29 millimeter, from a 60 all the way up to, it looks like a 360 casing. Now, that casing, a rough idea of what that means is you could say 60 is a grain. Is 1 grain, and how motors come in different grains. So a 2-grain motor would be a 120 case, which is can be a hobby case, or 3-grain goes up to 180, 4-grain 240. So that's just kind of a rough idea to do it. So all the way up to a 6-grain casing for RMS, and that is actually a pretty good price because you can get just the casing for on sale for $82, and you can reuse different caps from different motors so that you could just buy one set of enclosures and then use the casing. So they've got a lot of good deals on them. I was really surprised. The RMS, like the classic, the 120 Newton casing is going for about $55. And that's the casing itself. That, it's just doesn't include the front or the back cap or the closures. But those are a little extra, but you can really save yourself a lot of money by going this route. So I thought I'd push that a little bit today. We've got plenty of Aerotech casings. Serious Rocketry has a lot of stock of this stuff. And these days, you could save yourself some money and go with loading your own.
Sounds like a plan there. And when you're ordering that, just keep in mind that Sirius Rocketry's website features real-time stock tracking, which lets you order with confidence from their online store, no having to call or write to see if something is really in stock. When you're ready to fly, Sirius Rocketry has motors and hardware in stock from Estes through Aerotech High Power, as well as popular electronics from Jolly Logic and more. Be sure to ask them about their club specials as well. Visit their website today at siriusrocketry.biz and .com. Sirius Rocketry, for the serious rocketeer. Lock Precision Rocketry manufactures a full line of high-quality precision-fit electronic bays, motor mount adapters, recovery hardware, and harnesses, all designed to meet your building, repairing, and customizing needs. Lock Precision believes in making rocket kits as light as possible while maintaining the strength required to fly with commercially available motors. When you visit LockPrecision.com, be sure to also check out their wide range of rockets, such as the 4-inch Mystic Buzz, the 4-inch Lock Goblin featuring multiple motor mount adapters for 29 and 38 millimeter motors. If you're looking to gain entry into high-power rocketry, then you can certify for your Level 1 in style using the Lock 4 Rocket Kit. Lock features rocket kits for all flyers ranging from entry-level builders to experts. The name Lock Precision has been synonymous with mid and high-power rocketry for over 30 years. Check out LockPrecision.com today to find out why. Find your airspace with LockPrecision.com and Public Missiles Limited. Welcome back to The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. This episode, we're giving you an update of all the things going on in rocketry world, rocketry news, and we're kind of catching you up on stuff that we know about here. And so we're going to jump into it because we still have a lot to go here on the program. And we're going to start with the latest from Tripoli. Now, this is something I think Jesse can give us more background on. We've got information on the Eric Gates Memorial Scholarship. So since you are kind of closer to that, you can give us more information than the generic stuff we've got, I believe. But,
okay, so last season we had Conway Stevens, I believe, on twice, and Conway was a very good friend with Eric Gates. Eric was a very seasoned rocketeer. Him, along with his brother Dirk, tons of history with the rocketry community. Starting in the late '90s into the 2000s, you might hear these names come up quite a bit. Well, Eric was one of the directors, I believe, of Tripoli when he was active, and unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He had a work-related accident that doesn't allow him to be with us. Dirk goes to some of the launches, but I don't believe he flies. And we have been working with some of the people who have some of Dirk and Eric's rockets now, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to a few of them this season as well. I know Art Hogue and I was very good friends with them as well. They helped mentor him, and he's excited to work with Bryce Chanis to get some things up in the air. So hopefully we can see some of that reoccur. The Eric Gates Memorial Scholarship, that's something that Tripoli always does every year. Right now they're accepting submissions, and they're going to be doing that until the end of June. So, if that's something you guys are interested in, please go to the Tripoli website. It's on the front page there. Just look up the Eric Gates Memorial Scholarship and read about that. And if there's anything you'd like to submit to see you qualify for that scholarship, please do so. So anybody that's in, needing some help with education, if you're within this world of, rocketry and, aerospace and mechanical engineering, please take a look at that because it's something that we'd love to share with you guys. So,
and actually, with all the young guys that are joining into Tripoli and the National Association of Rocketry, this is something that a lot of those people might be interested in, men, women, just students, because there was a couple of years ago, one of my students applied for the National Association of Rocketry scholarship and got $2 grand. So it is, and he used it to go to Ohio State on. So good for him. This is the kind of thing that if we keeping this going, we'll get that younger group in there and they can actually benefit from it and maybe go into aerospace.
Yeah. So please check that out, guys.
Please do.
Then there's a couple other announcements from Tripoli. Let's see.
We have
well, they just came out with a new L2 advanced study guide. That is conforming to the United Safety Code that they've been talking about, to go with the National Association of Rocketry. So I took that has recently come out, and it is a new guide. It's pretty much along the same lines as all of the previous ones were, where you get a little information about what the test is, how it's done, how you're going to proceed, and what the pass and fail is on it.
Okay.
And it also includes 2 test banks of questions. There's the, I think it's the technical and the practical, I think it's called, So,
Okay.
But they go through that. So out of the banks of questions, there's a test that's given, just like it always has been. But there are some interesting things. It's a little bit more toned up. It looks like I'm just looking at this for the first time. It is very succinct. It's plain English, so anybody can read it and understand it.
That's
and
important.
Yeah, and all of the questions are there to help you study, and these are the same questions that would be on the test. They just will be mixed up a little bit and in different order and maybe different numbers of tests. But it looks very thorough to me just by giving this a first blush, and it goes into explanations of the answers to the questions too. So, it gives you the answer to a test question and then has some rationale and comments that is very, very helpful. So you can actually understand what you're looking at. So
I might just want to
that's
review
nice.
that. I might just want to review that to kind of freshen up, because I took the NAR level 2 test, and that was even before they made their changes. So looking at this now, I'd like to refresh myself. So do that, guys, because prefects are the only ones that are able to give the test out, I believe, for level
Correct.
2. But that's always something that all of us need to refresh and know. There is a little differences, it looks like, between NAR and Tripoli. So that I'm going to refresh myself on that. So thanks for bringing that up, Jim.
There is one clarification. It's prefects may also temporarily authorize an L2 or higher certified member to serve as a certification authority at the L1 and L2 level. Only TAPs are authorized to certify members at the L3 level. So prefects of any Tripoli prefecture can temporarily authorize an L2 to be to be the person that does the test, or, that associates with that. So slight change there.
That's cool, because now they get a little bit of freedom to, go to another event or even just take a day off. Because, launch officers and members of the club that go and get the trailer, take out to the field every day, do that at every launch that's scheduled, snow, wind, or rain. So the fact that they have that ability to get some rest, our Tripoli prefect, John Jameson, and Brian Hastings, both those guys, they get buried at every launch, and sometimes I feel bad because they just want to go fly too. So I'm glad that they're able to appoint somebody.
Yep. And real quick too, members who fail the first, you can need a 90% for passing. No more than 5 questions may be missed out of the 50 total. Members who fail the first exam can immediately take a second exam. If you fail the test the first time, you can come around and take it a second.
Okay.
Helpful.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Indeed. So,
Let's see.
I think that brings us to
CG, the Tripoli elections. Looks like that just got announced.
That brings us to Tripoli elections.
So
That's the ticket.
So it's the call for candidates right now. So basically, they have a link on their website for anybody that's looking to be a member of the board for Tripoli. That now's the call for the candidates. Eventually, they'll do the elections and give you the way that Tripoli has done it in the past years is they'll give you like a summary of the candidates. The candidate will go in there and explain what the roles are and what they can do to help out Tripoli, and then Tripoli will call all of your members to vote. Now, last year they didn't get a lot of votes, and it's important that we continue to help season the people who are going to be the future Tripoli. A lot of the members who are the directors right now, they want to go fly and stuff. So if you know that you can help the organization, please make sure that you submit. And those of you who have the ability to vote, please do so, because you guys know how important voting is. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All righty. And so we now roll into this part here where we go into some of the big launches around the country here that you might want to consider. And let's see, I believe we start the first one in the bunch is
Michiana.
Yes,
Michiana Mayhem. 16,000 foot waiver. Looks like that's going to be
April 1st and the 2nd.
April Fool's Day.
Yep, it's being April Fool and go pull some foolish rockets in the sky. That's a good place to launch. The Lot guys had a very good time there back in 2021. That's where Dave got his level 3, and they really enjoyed their time there. So it's apparently a really good place to fly.
Waiver 16,000 is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty decent. Saturday, the hours would be 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that's April 1st and 2nd there for you.
Yeah, pre-registration ends March 26th, and pre-registration is a paltry $15,
Wow.
$20 on site.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
You
is
get a
cheap.
chance to go to that,
Great
guys.
deal.
Sign up for that. That sounds fun. All right. So the next one is the conference, right? For Northern Illinois Rocketry. We have a huge amount of information on that one. That's going to be Saturday, March 4th, between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Is that going to be Central Time or is Illinois?
Should be Central.
Time, yes.
That is Central Time. Okay. So that's going to be at the Woodstock North High School, and that's in Woodstock, Illinois. It's completely free, guys. You guys can sign up for the raffle. They're going to have a bunch of different things there. So what's kind of cool about them doing this is that it's kind of like a mini Narcon in that sense. They have a bunch of workshops, and Narcon is what it's called.
Nircon, Narcon. Yep.
Yeah, a bunch of different Q&A
That's
stuff.
funny.
Wow, the list on here is huge. Let me just touch base on a couple of bullet points. Some of the workshops, level 3 project, that's always good. If you had interested or questions about level 3, go attend some of these because that's where you get your questions answered, guys. Recovery with trackers, jungle lions, tigers, and bears. Okay, so I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to go with recovery with trackers. That sounds pretty cool. Non-pyro shoot deployment. The fact that somebody's going to do a presentation on something like that sounds interesting. I wonder how that would work.
Especially for high altitude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. Because it doesn't always, yeah. Scale modeling tips and ideas. I could sit there and either present something like that myself or just listen to some of these guys talk. I like going to some of the hobby conventions, guys, and just watching the guys who build models, static models, talk about how they do all their stuff. Even cars, the 124 and 125 scale cars. I love sitting in on those things, and I geek out on those. So the fact that they're doing a presentation like that is cool. Let's see here.
Awesome.
Jim, do you want to talk about some of their question and answer stuff that they're?
Wow. Okay, so you got your people's choice, your most unique, unusual rocket, and the most beat up rocket that still flies. There will be prizes for the winners at this. So, okay,
That's cool.
Well, that's kind of interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And just in the Q&As, you already mentioned that it is indeed free. And also mentioning the raffle, they do have a raffle. They have 48 great prizes to give away, including, hey, guess what?
pretty
An
good.
Estes Saturn V, an
Wow.
Estes Pro
Ooh.
Series Mega Dare
Ooh.
Red Max. You all know you want one. Estes Pro Series Partisan.
Wow.
Estes Space Shuttle. Ooh, that's a classic.
Yeah.
A lock graduator, Rocket Warehouse Formula 54, Aerotech Initiator Starter Set, Jolly Logic
That's
Altimeter
big.
3, MPC Martian Patrol, and Top Flight 60-inch chute, and more. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. That's crazy. Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Free. Yeah. Just got to pay for your raffle ticket. Go attend. Yeah. If you guys are in that area, go attend that. That sounds fun. If I was in that area, I would definitely try to make it.
Just slightly off topic, but not quite. When you mentioned the Estes Saturn V, that reminds me. Have you guys seen on the socials yet the mashup between the Adur Red Max and the Saturn 1B? It's
Mhm.
like painted all red.
Yeah.
Like the. If look around on the social, folks. I forgot who made it, but it was quite the build. It's like, instead of having all the little Saturn 1B fins along the bottom, it's like a whole series of giant Red Max fins on it. And it's all red. It's pretty funny. Anyway, let's get back on topic here. Let's see here. We've got NSL coming
yeah.
up. Yes,
Yeah.
NSL
Let me
West
talk about that one.
2023. Okay.
So,
Yep.
NSL West is hosted down in Colorado with the San Luis Valley and the San Luis Valley Rocketeers. So the thing about NSL, we did it back in 2021. And if we were listening to Narcon, for those of you who joined it, they're actually going to get the crew down in Alamosa from the San Luis Valley Rocketeers to do this for the next 3 years for NSL West. So I think NAR is still working to get somebody to do NSL East, just so they have the ability to do the sport launch on both sides of the Mississippi, right? So you want to do the east side and the west side. But the cool thing about what happens at the one here in Alamosa is that Matt, Abby, and crew, Matt and Steve were able to get a 52,000-foot waiver for a NAR event, guys. So
Holy moly.
all you guys that want to fly your high
insane.
stuff, come to Alamosa. It's going to be over Memorial Day weekend. And they technically only do it for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but we do fly on Friday if you're ready and you have the ability to do so. If you go to the NAR page for NSL, there is also a sign up for some of the feature rockets that might be there. So if you got a big thing that you want to do for NSL on Memorial Day weekend, if you're in this area, post it on there so that people can see it, so that they have something to look forward to. Doug Gerard, who goes out there and flies stuff with his big camera events, man, watching that guy fly some of the stuff that he creates, and then how he videos the rockets and stuff. I think we were talking about bringing Doug at some point onto the show too to kind of talk about that. If you remember Jim and CG.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he most likely will be there, and he'll have his big launch pad set up there with all the special effects. And it is something that you guys can't just go up and use. You do have to pay for those services. But man, I tell you, like some of the video that guy captures when your rocket's taking off, it's insane. But yeah, 52,000-foot waiver. Saturday, Sunday, and closing at 2 p.m. on Monday. Man, I'm just telling you, I'll be down there. Because it's Colorado. It's 4 hours from where I live. And 2021 was a big deal. There was a lot of people there. All the vendors were there. I had Chris's Rocket Supply there. We had, Scott Binder there. We had BMS there. Yeah, there's quite a bit of people. So you'll be able to, take your wallet because you'll be able to buy some stuff on site. It's going to be a huge NSL, guys.
With a 52,000-foot waiver. Holy crap, yeah.
Yeah. What else do you guys see?
Well, coming up on the heels of that one, pretty much overlapping a little bit, is Night Power 25 over in Geneseo, New York. Our friends over at the Mars Rocket Club will be doing that May 27th at 10 a.m. is when it starts with the launches, and it goes through May 29th, ending at 5 p.m. on that day. So that'll be at their Geneseo, New York launch site on Big Tree Lane. So that's one coming up. And then not too far from them, on June 9th through the 11th, we've got ERG. They'll be hosting the ERF. And ERG, by the way, is the Upstate Research Rocketry Group, another group of friends there in the Finger Lakes region of New York.
Okay.
And they'll be doing the ERF from June 9th through the 11th. They've got an 18,000-foot waiver, huge rocketry recovery area in the heart of the Finger Lakes.
There you go.
Registration.
I like their field.
Yes. So they'll have the registration open soon. So
you guys have been there to that field, Jim?
Yes. Actually, our very first remote show was there.
Okay, cool.
The very first one we did early on in the program. And the funny thing about that field is that it was a potential Finger Lake. And if you get heavy rains, it wants to turn back into one. So in the middle of the presentation, we had a big storm blow up, and they were like, "Okay, everybody, all the people who normally fly there, get your cars and everything out now." And they had to kind of tell us, "Get out now with your stuff because you may not get to it."
Yeah, I remember you talking about that on a past episode. Like, that valley gets filled quickly.
It's a fun field, and I was hoping to get back.
Yeah,
there
they're great there. Yeah. I love those guys.
That sounds fun. I'll meet you there someday, guys.
Sounds good. Anybody want to take the next one?
Moving on into LDRS 41.
Ooh.
That's coming. It's Thursday, July 2nd, 8 a.m. until Sunday, July 9th. I'm going to try and get to this one. There is a website, www.ldrs41.com, and it is sponsored. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Continue.
It's sponsored by Tripoli, Wisconsin, Tripoli, Chicago, and Tripoli, Green Bay. It looks like the tri-state area up in Chicagoland.
Yep.
So, which is
tri-state area.
That's awesome. That's like my old haunt. I went to DePaul in Chicago, lived there for years. So it's at the Richard Bong Recreational Area. It's a great place. It's a big area. And I don't know what their waiver is for that, but we will find out and let you know.
Didn't look. So LTRS 41 is special, and I will be there. The main reason why is because that's the backyard of your guys from Lock Precision. So all those guys from Lock will probably be out to launch that weekend, and they'll be out launching at Bong with all you guys. So,
and
I'm going to try and get in for a day or two.
That'd be sweet, man.
Yeah, we've pegged that one to be our return to the remote broadcasts. So we're going to definitely try to make it out there to do a show from there. We've got all this cool equipment that patrons helped us get, and that was before the pandemic. And we haven't had a chance to use it yet. So it's sitting there brand new for almost 3 years now? Over 3 years?
Something like that.
Yeah. So we're going to try to break that stuff in finally and do a great coverage of that LDR's 41.
I'm excited. I'd love to be there to meet up with you guys.
Yeah, it could be the first time all three of us are in one launch.
Yeah, we just got to get Noob there. That would be it. that might be
the bomb.
Yeah.
No, it would be the bomb. It would be the bomb in the recreational area.
Right? Yeah. So apparently it is a little swampy sometimes too. So, if you have some waiters, take them out there just in case your rocket gets stuck, or maybe you can get some of those guys to help you pick up your stuff if it lands in the water. I don't know. I heard some horror stories about Bong, but they figured out how to launch, and they've been successful. There's been big events there before. So, I mean, this didn't go lightly. This is something that's cool for everybody.
We've got, I think, at least one more thing or two.
Yeah. So if you remember, not last season, but the season before, we spoke to Bob Brown and the winning team of the Argonia Cup for, I believe it was 2021. And they're obviously having that again. They're resuming that March 25th and 26th, and that's going to be in Argonia, Kansas, with the Cloudbusters at the world-famed Rocket Pasture. So the thing about the Argonia Cup is that the goal for the 2023 Argonia Cup competition is to launch a 2-stage rocket-powered vehicle containing one golf ball payload in the sustainer to a sustainer altitude in excess of 9,000 feet AGL. The key is to recover the payload safely to a predetermined location on the rocket range. Okay, so first off, they got to do a 2-stage rocket with a payload of a golf ball and get that golf ball to actually get back to a predetermined location on the range and fall within a certain area. Last year, they had 20 teams registered, I believe. I need to see how many teams are registered this year, but there's so many sponsors for the Argonia Cup because this is all about, colleges and, universities getting in there and showing off your rocketry skills. There's a lot that goes into a 2-stage rocket to begin with, and then trying to manipulate a golf ball to fall in a specific region. That's a lot of engineering. Jim, I'm sure you can appreciate that, from doing
absolutely.
Park. So the Argonia Cup is a big deal, guys, and it's something that Triple E hosts. It's something that was started up by the team members in Argonia down at Cloudbusters. Bob Brown is a huge advocate of that, and we want to stand behind him because he's standing behind all these teams that are doing this. And the sponsors are huge. You have Chris from Chris's Rocket Supply, the guys from Alter Spectrum, Wild Man. You have the Boyson, who's doing all the 3D printed cool rocket stuff. They're going to be sponsors this year. I believe Lock Precision is a sponsor as well. Mile High Rocketry. There's a lot of people in the rocketry community that stand behind this event. And if you get a chance to go, if you're in the, in that Kansas area, plan on it, man. And you can fly too. Like, it's not just the college teams. They have the range set up for everybody to go out there and show off their stuff that weekend. I wanted to go this year, but I don't think I'm going to make it. But that's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. So someday.
Indeed.
So I wanted to just give a quick blurb out. I have a lot of, just like you guys have a lot of your friends that listen in the Ohio area, right? I do have a lot of folks here in Colorado that listen to the podcast. And, we want to thank you from everywhere in the country and everywhere in the world where you guys are listening to us. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was for our Colorado people, we are having our 15th annual All Colorado Rocketry Dinner. The 6 main clubs from Colorado kind of get together with all its members, and they have an award ceremony and a lunch. This banquet will be on Saturday, February 25th. if this is something you're interested in doing, go to Tripoli, Colorado's website. It's just tripolicolorado.com. And sign up for the Colorado Rocketry Dinner. There is a registration page on there where you just kind of reserve your spot, and then we do the payments through PayPal on there. It's something that helps the clubs out, and we will have a huge raffle there. That's something I will definitely be attending. So come have lunch with us, man. It's going to be a good time. And on the follow-up for that, CJ, I didn't know if you want to talk about that. We're looking for people to give us their events, right? So we can announce them on our show?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Indeed. You can send it to mailbag at TheRocketryShow.com. If you've got an event that you're hoping to attract people from the region or nationally even to that event, let us know. Mailbag at TheRocketryShow.com, and we'll include it in our next news update episode right here on The Rocketry Show and add it to our launch list. We're trying to make this launch list a regular thing of these news episodes because
I love it.
I think it makes sense. You know, we just tell you what's going on in different parts of the country with major rocket events that you can travel to and meet more Rocketeers and get to fly in fields that have huge waivers like that 52,000 AGL waiver. So yeah, mailbag at TheRocketryShow.com. Let people know about your special rocketry gatherings at your club or organization. Indeed.
You know, when I first heard about that 52,000 foot waiver, the person who told me about it, I'm like, "Are you sure it's not 12,000?" He's like, "No. Read it again." I'm like, what do you mean? That's got to be a typo. No, Jesse, read it again. I'm like, you're kidding, right? No, dude, that's for real. 52,000 K for a NAR event, guys. I think that's I think that might be right.
That's got to be yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'm trying to think back, and it's like, when was anything even close to that for any kind of National Association of Rocketry event? Can't think of one.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yes.
This year's going to rock. So this year's going to rock it. Okay.
Indeed. Okay, now we're up to that part of the show where we're going to thank the patrons, but we did resolve a long-time thing that's been bugging us for a long time, and that is what to do about the patrons who've been supporting the show virtually since the very beginning, and were there before the merch things kicked in with Patreon. And so we came up with a solution that we think is really, really cool. So I'm going to let Jesse handle this one because he's been wondering this. We both have been wondering about this for a while now. It's been bugging us. So Jesse, would tell them about our exciting thing.
So what we're going to do. Okay. So we're going to ask that our patrons for the Rocketry Show and the Model Rocket Show just be a little patient, but we do have something in store for you. But it is going to take some time. We're going to have to do this over a series of a few weeks, but I think we're going to be able to get everybody that is a patron a Rocketry Show mug and a sticker for TheRocketryShow.com. Now, we're thinking of a couple of things here, and we're going to be a little adventurous. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to make everybody a mug for your coffee or tea or whatever you want to put in it, pens, on your desk, just whatever. We're going to do the Model Rocket Show on one side, and we're going to do the Rocketry Show on the other side. I made a couple for some folks already, and I got good feedback. What do you guys think? How do they look,
they look
Jim?
better than the patron ones that people have gotten so far. So
I didn't have any high expectations, but then when it came, I was like, oh my God, this thing is beautiful. The colors are sharp. It's dishwasher safe. And I was like, what? So I was very happy to get mine. Very cool.
So one more thing about these particular mugs is they will be made not from a third-party vendor or not by somebody online who just puts stuff together. They're going to be made by me, Jesse Yu, Model Rocket Guy of The Rocketry Show.
Mug God.
yes,
I am going to make these for you guys. We figured out how to do it. We've done a few things here. We're going to make some mugs for some clubs and stuff as well. And my wife and I are happy to help you guys out with this since you've been longtime members of The Rocketry Show with Patreon. And even those of you who even were, listeners of the show before Patreon, and then you jumped on it right away. I mean, we really appreciate you doing that. So we figure this will be a good way for everybody to get something for themselves. And those of you who got on, the Patreon Countdown to Launch, which was $12 a month, which gave you a sticker, you can still sign up for that. And then after 3 consecutive months, Patreon will send you a sticker of the Rocketry Show that they make themselves. or have done. I'm not sure. And then the other one is $25 a month, and that's called Level 1 Launch. And Level 1 Launch will give you one of the mugs from, Patreon for the Rocketry Show. But the thing about it is, it's only one side. So, like I said, the mugs that we will be making for you guys will be a lot more, nicer than this. And then we got one of your favorite rocket companies that's going to help us out and donating some stickers to you guys as well. So, I mean, this is just something we wanted to do for you all. We appreciate your patience over the last few years. And, for those guys who signed up with Patreon before we had the membership levels, we figured that this would be a good way for you to have something, to thank you for all your patronage.
Indeed.
Very cool. Very cool stuff.
So there you go. The cool news from us that we've been really excited to share as we were, we couldn't wait to figure out how we're going to do it so we can share it. But now we figured it out. So it's fun stuff for our patrons, especially the ones that have been supporting the show since day one. So there you go. We've solved the issue. So with that in mind, let's jump into our patron thanks here. The Rocketry Show would like to thank these listeners for their support of our podcast. These patrons such as Todd West, Jonah Cheney, Matt Tudor, Joe Sempitro, Les Rayburn, Steven Spencer, Bill Cook, Jason Cook, Gary Rosenfield, Greg Ziegler, Ken Blade, Eric Hamilton, John Beans, Scott Holla, Guy Wadsworth, Phil P., Tom Rum, Stephen Ray, Amanda Ho, Steve Sainer, Mark, and RailButtons.com, Philip Kelly, Everton Rocketry, and High Tech Redneck Rocketry, HTRR, Stacy Worley.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you,
Don and Stacy.
And moving right along, we have Jim Fields of Michiana Rocketry. Thank you. And moving right along, we have Jim Fields of Michiana Rocketry, Brett Nowacki, Tim Mock, Jeff Curtis, Team Semrock, Trucker Jim. I love that. Thank you. Phil Bridges, Ray Tyson, Gary Dow, Alan Wellington, Don Johnson, Pierre Marlowe, Jeff Curtis, John Bryan, Casey Anderson. Hey, Casey. Mark Essenwine, Norman Perkel, Jimmy Burgess, Paradise Rocketry, Jason O'Shalley, Greg Rocker Jr.
George
Rocker.
George Rocker. Okay. George Rocker, JohnRocket.com, Jason Rodney, Conway Stevens, Paul Oliveri, Sam Feinberg, John Sicker, Sean Falkingham, Brian Scheckenberger, and John Thompson. Thank you all for all you have done for us to keep the show on. I'll keep going. Thank you.
And last list that we have, of course, Mark McBride. Thank you, Mark. C. McCauley. Thank you, guys. Rocket Lab Delta. They're a new supporter. Thank you, everybody, for joining with that. Carl Hunting. Of course, Piedmont Student Launch Team. They're still with us. Thank you guys so much. Chris Irving and David Simmons. SBR Rocketry, FusionRocket.biz. That's Scott Binder and team. John Kusher. Kelsey Black. Brian Renneker. Jerry Krause. Justin O'Neill. Terry Dancer. And then, of course, Mike Kruppe from Mac Performance. And then one of our Colorado guys, I think we said this last time, but I'll mention it again. Thank you, Brent Grassmick. It looks like he's an annual supporter. So thank you guys very much. We'll, in time, get you all some mugs to enjoy with your coffee. And you know what? Yeah, if you've if you got a mug with Patreon before, I'll just send you a better looking one.
There you go. So you're not.
And then yeah, exactly. You get the new goods like everyone else did. So one more thing. I mentioned this last time that we had an episode where we went through the patrons list like this, and I just wanted to give another shout out to Norman Perkel and his family. Unfortunately, just like I said last time, Norman isn't with us, but he's still in our hearts. He still is a Patreon member until that subscription that he has fades away. We're going to keep mentioning him. Yeah. So those of you who knew Norman, we do too, and we appreciate that. Family still has him with us. So.
A small gesture, but it honors his memory, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Thanks, wherever you are.
Right. Well, thank you.
Alrighty.
Yeah, for sure.
And that wraps up the news episode of the show. We've got some great interview shows that we're lining up for you here. So the Rocketry Show is definitely up and just about at full steam here ahead here. So we can't wait to get all the other shows to you. But
oh gosh, I am so excited! You guys are gonna flip out when you hear some of the people that we have coming on this year. I mean, we're excited, super excited.
Oh yeah.
And on that note, Jim.
Keep your eyes in the skies.
All right, we'll see you next time,
guys,
on The Rocketry Show.
Bye.
See what you did there, Gene.
Gotta play with it somehow.
Have a comment? We'd love to hear it. Send them to mailbag@TheRocketryShow.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, don't forget to check out our sister show, TheModelRocketShow.com. The Model Rocket Show is hosted by the Rocket Noob and is all about low to mid-power rocketry. TheModelRocketShow.com with Daniel, the Rocket Noob. Check it out today. The views and opinions expressed on these programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Little Beth Entertainment or its sponsors.